This episode we're going to talk about what happens when you get ill or you have an accident, when you're a cruiser on the other side of the world. What do you do? How do you prepare for it?
Yeah, but first we're going to do a little bit of a nature trail, aren't we?
We are.
Which kind of leads in nicely to the specific injury we're going to be talking about. Well, as you may be able to see, I am now back in the mountains. Quite different from last time. If you remember when we last came to the Sabah Tea Gardens, we had that beautiful morning sun shining on Mount Kinabalu, and then we had all those clouds in the valley. But this time it's a different story. Look at this. We are well in the clouds. The weather's quite different, the season's a little different as well. Last night we had some rain. This is not a complaint, however, because what it does mean is that it's keeping the temperature nice and cool, and the reason why we're here is to have a contrast from the activity of diving underwater and to take a nice slow saunter around the tea gardens and go for little country walks, I suppose. And because of this weather, it means it keeps the temperature nice and cool, which is great. Here comes a worker now. You see the workers coming backwards and forwards, working on the tea plantations. We are off on a little trek through the tea plantations, just using the adjoining roads that run through the plantations, presumably used by the workers. These aren't public roads. The aim is to get somewhere close to the hill there. I call it a hill because that is named as a hill. I think it's, I looked up this morning, Kanuman, I'll put it down below on the screen. But it's not named anywhere on any of the maps that we've got access to. But its peak is 1,000 metres, which is pretty high. And we're sort of going down into the valley, so I'm not entirely convinced we'll make it to the top. But we just thought we'd grab this opportunity and make the most of this nice overcast day and take in the smells and the sounds of the flora and fauna.
Every time I turn around.
Who's your new friend?
I don't know. So sweet.
Come on, doggy. Oh, that was an elevation of 50 metres we just did very quickly, from 450 to 500. Don't forget that Kamunsu Hill is at 1,000, so there's another 500 to go way to get to the top. I'm not entirely sure you can actually get to the top. I've checked the satellite images and there's just a track that goes around the back of it. But conveniently, there's a little bus shelter that says, "Welcome to Kamunsu Hill," and it's well placed, not only for a beautiful view looking northeast and around to the east, but also a convenient shelter were it to rain. And it does look like you can just see over my shoulder, there's quite a bit of rain coming in. It seems to be moving across east of us, so hopefully it won't rain, but it's keeping that temperature down. And meanwhile, this is Lizzie's friend, her new friend. We have already befriended one dog who's come to visit us at the cottage. She was very shy, but we managed to get her to feed from our hand some biscuits, and we gave her some water, and we're now on petting terms, so we can now pet her on her head, so we've gained her trust. Let's see if we can do the same with this one, who keeps hiding behind trees, pretending that she can't see us.
As we were going up the hill, the dog was following us, and each time I turned round, he'd absolutely freeze where he was, pretend I couldn't see him. Did it a few times, couldn't get him to come towards me, and then I realised what he reminded me of, and it's one of those horrible things in Doctor Who, those stone angels, when if you blinked or you closed your eyes, they moved towards you. Spooky.
He's not quite that scary though, is he?
No, he's
Poor
not
little
scary
thing.
until we've gone up there now. Pounce on us at the other end.
So Liz is looking up the kind of animals we could see if we were really quiet, which we're not because we're huffing and puffing and panting. But what could we see, Liz?
Well, there's a sign, I don't know if you got it on the camera, as we came through there's a gate thing, there's a sign and it says no hunting of the following animals, but it's all in Bahasa, but we've got things like anteaters, crocodiles, beaver, wildcat, tortoise, owls, 2 kinds of deer, monkeys, porcupine, yeah, and some snakes. That looks like cobra. Yeah, basically no hunting. You put your gun away. Well, we've reached the highest point that we're going to make on this journey. There's a tiny bit of mountain left, hill, but I think we're pretty close to the top, don't you?
Yeah, I think it's as high as we can go.
Yeah, we'll
unless
try
we have a machete and hack our way through.
We'll try and put down below what the height was here. But behind me you can see the Sabah Tea plantation stretching for kilometres and kilometres. And with the sun on it, you can see all the pathways between the different patches. It's really pretty, but bloody hell, they didn't have to clear a lot of forest to build this tea plantation.
Yeah, it's a funny dichotomy, isn't it? We go on about the deforestation for palm, and yet here we are in a tea plantation, and one suspects that this had the same treatment in order to plant all these lovely tree plants, but who knows?
That was a spectacular walk with some beautiful, beautiful views, and I'll never forget it. But it was a lot longer than I'd anticipated when we set off.
Yeah, I was trying to plot a course using satellite imagery, and the difficulty is, of course, is that from the satellite, you think you can see footpaths, but it's actually the contours of the hill of the tea plantation, so it's a little bit misleading, and we really did get as far as we could go without then going properly off-road.
Yeah, I wasn't too keen going off the tracks because we do know there are quite a lot of snakes in that area. We didn't have a machete, we didn't have a gun because we weren't allowed to hunt.
But that is one of my favourite places. I've said it before, I'll say it again, the Sabah Tea plantations are really one of my favourite places, and as you saw, the photographic opportunities as well just present themselves to you on a platter.
Yeah, phenomenal. And what trees there were left from what would have originally been there were stunning, and they were rainforest trees. Obviously, as you say in the video, they all went for the plantation. Hey ho, that's what happens, isn't it?
Yes.
Right. Well, yeah, lovely walk.
It was for me, but not for you, was it? Because you ended up having a funny little injury, which I didn't quite understand at the time.
You don't care.
But I know, I did. I was getting so impatient. So next morning I got up early. It's like, come on, we've got to get up to the top of the hill. And you said, I can't move.
No, I couldn't. So what happened was I was wearing quite flimsy shoes. At least they were shoes, they weren't flip-flops. But I didn't have walking boots. Obviously, I've already lost those. So I just had my little sand shoes kind of things. And by the time we got to the end of the walk, I did say to you that my foot was hurting, and I thought I'd walked on something that had gone through. I don't know what it was, but definitely was feeling ill about the foot was feeling bad. And then in the night I woke up a few times with a throbbing left foot, and I just assumed, like always, it would have been gone by the morning. So I jumped out of bed. Well, perhaps that's an exaggeration. I got out of bed, put my foot on the floor and fell over because the pain was excruciating and I couldn't put any weight anywhere on that foot.
Yeah, and the problem there, of course, is up in the mountains. There are no doctors or hospitals nearby.
No.
So you kind of have to self-medicate to start with, don't you?
Yeah, and I did that by just taking huge amounts of painkillers. And we had our walking sticks. I was able to use the walking sticks like a crutch. And I knew I shouldn't put any weight on it because it didn't feel right. I knew there was something wrong there. So that next day, I left you to it, didn't I? We didn't.
Well, I had fun.
Yeah, he had a great time wandering around, but I didn't move from the front of the beautiful chalet where we were staying, and we really had to make a move because I wasn't particularly capable of doing anything, and I was medicated up to here with painkillers. The one thing I remember though while you were away was I saw the biggest moth I've ever seen in my life. It's called a giant uranid moth, which is also a Lissa meneacius, and it was as big as my palm. Now, I took a photo of it using my phone. Jamie wasn't around, and if it's any good, we'll put it now so you can see it. And it was phenomenal.
Come back to this interview because we want to talk just quickly about how we deal with this. And I think some people have a kind of misconception about the medical facilities in Southeast Asia. From our experience in Thailand and actually Indonesia and certainly Malaysia is that they are second to none. And so,
absolutely,
you know, as soon as we got back to KK, we took you to the doctor.
Yes,
who was able to see you pretty much straight away.
Yeah, they will see you straight away. There's no hanging around. Saw a specialist, foot bone doctor. Well, he was a bone doctor and he got a foot specialist in. And I was in there for a good 2-3 hours, x-rays taken, this, that and the other, and bits prodded and whatnot. And without doing a lot more probing, they came up with the conclusion that I'd broken one small bone in the foot, and if anyone knows anything about feet and hands, there are a lot of small bones in there. If it was that, and it was almost certainly that, it wasn't a tendon or a ligament, it appeared to be a bone. There's nothing you can do anyway, so you have to rest.
So I was just going to say, you basically did the right thing. So even before you saw the doctor, you kind of sensed that this was the issue, and you did the right thing by not walking on it. And sadly, since then, which is 2-3 months ago, you still can't, you're not really allowed to walk on it, are you?
No pressure at all for a month, which I found almost impossible. I had a foot and ankle brace.
She looked like a cyborg.
Yeah, it was very nice. I tried not to do very much, but it doesn't half get boring when you're not doing anything at all. So I did keep walking on it a bit, but as little as possible. The pain is almost subsided, and I'm wondering now if it's simply a memory pain that's there. But going back to medical generally over here, certainly the doctors, the hospitals have been brilliant, really, from India onwards, all over Southeast Asia and Asia. You've got everything you need here. You get your results the same day. So I came away with a whole load of x-rays, a whole load of paperwork explaining what it is, so that if I go to another place, if it comes up again, I've got the record with me, I take it with me. We've only got the very basic cover from our Pantaneous sailing insurance. It includes accident and emergency, so we can be repatriated, we can be sent back, and if we have an accident on the boat or any of the crew have an accident, we are insured for that. So sort of, broken legs, arms, all that kind of thing, that's all covered. What we're not covered for are medical things like blood problems or diseases or anything like that. We don't have that insurance. You can buy it. You can buy medical insurance. It's difficult to get it for big areas, so people tend to buy it for just an area that they're sailing in. And the younger you are, cheaper the medical insurance, but you can do it. We have just paid for any care that we've had since we've been here for the last 10 years, and it's always been possible because the prices here they're 100 times less than they would be in the US. They're completely affordable. We can afford various medical procedures here. Just.
I think when we eventually get to the States on the boat, and it's going to be a completely different story altogether. But that's a discussion to have for another time, I think.
Yeah.
But anyway, how's the foot now? That's the important thing.
Yeah, the foot now is okay. I don't do big walks, don't choose to go out on big walks, still just sticking to the shopping and the basic walking around. But I imagine fairly soon I'll be walking again. But the other thing is I've now got proper boots.
Glad to hear it. Right, so that's all the admin done. I think the next episode we are going back to boat maintenance and getting the boat ready for our eventual departure from Malaysia.